Hey everybody, hope you're okay. Doing a little bit of content about shadow workers. We're all shadow workers, but often we're very resistant about that. So shadow work, what is shadow work and what are shadow workers? So shadow work is working with the unconscious, the things that we're not consciously aware of. And I always find that fascinating. The concept of how do we get to know what we're not aware of, but it is actually being really honest with yourself about the parts of you, any parts, inside, outside, all around you, that you don't like about yourself. All the parts that you've broken off, all the parts that you've rejected, all the parts that you don't accept, and all the parts that often you'll try to hide from others, and all the parts that, some way you're trying to hide from yourself. Hence, these parts being subconscious. And when we do shadow work and become shadow workers, we're illuminating the way. We're illuminating these parts that we don't like about ourselves, and we're transforming them, we're healing them, we're integrating them back into ourselves as acceptable parts, whether they've changed or not. Because if we're denying parts about ourselves, then we're kind of not showing ourselves any love or self-respect, and we're resisting who we are. It doesn't mean we are our damaged parts, our hurt parts, our broken parts, our parts we don't like, but they are a part of us, and they're a part of our story, and they're a part of our soul and our wisdom. And actually these parts are really important. We're also not being authentic or genuine when we're denying these parts that we have learnt many ways to cover up, consciously, subconsciously. It just becomes automatic to the point where we may not even be aware of them. But we're not being our true selves, which means that we're not able to fully relate to others, and they're not able to fully relate to us, because to truly relate to others, we have to be our true selves. So if we're wearing all these masks inside and out to hide these parts that we're ashamed of and wounded from other people, they're not really getting to know us, and that way they can't really fully embrace us and love us unconditionally. It will be kind of subconsciously conditional, because they don't really know who we are. And often we have these parts that we think, oh, we're going to be rejected if people knew, maybe because in the past we have. But the key is when we start to really take hold of these parts and go, you know what, I'm not ashamed of these parts, actually it has a knock-on effect for others. And this is how we become shadow workers. It sort of raises our conscious vibration. We become more aware, and that rubs off on people if we're not hiding it. And it actually encourages others to do the same, to work on their parts that they're hiding, or to come forward about parts that might be holding them back, so they can be liberated and free of them, and actually totally accepted by others for them. So shadow workers light the way in that. They show people that they don't hide who they are. Granted, we don't always know completely who we are, but we're honest about that, and we keep doing the work. We keep looking at the parts of us that we might resist, because whatever we resist persists, or the parts that we might not want others to know about, or the parts of ourselves that we don't like. And we start to look at all the masks we're wearing, all the ways we've managed to hide it and deny it and pretend it's not happening, and pretend we don't feel that way. So it might be numbing, it might be substances, it might be having a whole transplant of personality and transplant of your body on all levels, to try and make yourself something you're not, in order to feel better, rather than embracing what you've got and go, don't like this bit, what am I going to do about it, with regard to trying to work with accepting it and making peace with it, and actually finding the humour in it all. So have happy shadow working, everybody. Light at the end of the tunnel.